Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. So in today's video we're going to be making quite a simple card but adding a wax seal to it. So I'm going to be using this embossing folder. It's just a generic text embossing folder. As always, I'll pop links in the description box below. I've already got a card panel that's cut to 5.5 inches squared, and I've got a selection of these die cuts. These are the Holtz Sizzix Thinlet dies. They're the Wildflower stems, and I've already got them pre-cut. I keep a little selection to hand. These are the wax seals that I bought off Amazon, and I've really been enjoying playing with them, so I really wanted to find a way of incorporating them into a card. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. But first of all, I'm going to get that card front embossed. So I've run that through my Sizzix Big Shot machine, and then we can just pop the embossed panel to one side for now. I'm going to bring in a piece of vellum. This is the last scrap of vellum I've got. This is Alina Crafts vellum. It's 115 GSM. And I'm just going to trim a strip off using my Holtz long bladed scissors. And then what I'm going to do is tear down the edges. Now it's actually really easy to tear vellum, and it gives such a pretty effect because it kind of adds a little bit of a white edge to the vellum where you've torn it. So yeah, very easy to do, and it just steps up the card a little bit and adds a little bit of interest. So next I'm going to flip the card panel over, and I'm going to score the vellum around the back of the card just so that it holds it in place, and then I'm going to use some double-sided tape just to attach the vellum down. This will just hold it in place while we continue decorating the card, and then we can add some glue over the back of it to attach it to the card base later on. So once I've removed the backing tape and that's in place, I'm then going to add some twine or some string around the card. So all I'm doing here is, again, adding some double-sided tape to the back of the card, and I'm just going to kind of wrap the twine around the card and just tack that in place using the double-sided tape. I'm going to do this 3 times, and I'm just kind of overlapping them in different ways, and also I'm adding some tape over the top of them, again, just to hold them in place. The double-sided tape wasn't quite strong enough just to hold them in place with the one layer, so I've needed to add another layer over the top. I'm then going to pick out some of these Wildflower stem die cuts to use, and I'm just going to use 3 of them, 2 of the flowers and then the leaves, and I'm just going to tuck them behind the string. And then what we're going to do to hold them in place is to create a wax seal. So I'm just adding some of these wax cubes into the spoon of the burner, and I'm just going to melt those. This is the stamp that I'm going to be using today. This is from Alina Crafts. It's a really pretty cherry blossom stamp. So once the wax is melted and it's nice and hot, I'm then going to pour a little bit over the string. Now I did see a tip in one video that suggested when you're adding a wax seal over something, add a little bit of wax first and let that set. And then you can come back in, add another layer of wax and stamp your stamp. So that's what I'm doing today. It's my first try doing this, but I did add a little bit too much wax, as you'll see in a minute. However, I think that just adds to the lovely handmade vintage feel of the card. So don't be too disappointed if your wax seals are not perfectly round. I actually think that adds to the character of a wax seal. And of course, remember, it's a handmade card, and all these little touches just really add to that feel. And I think people like that. So here I tried to pull off the seal a little bit too early. You could have left it a little bit longer to sit. However, it's absolutely fine. And it dries perfectly fine as well. So all I'm doing is adding any little bits back into the spoon, and I'll be able to pull that out for later. But here you can see a little bit of a close-up shot of what that wax seal looks like, and it looks lovely. It's really vintage, and yeah, it's just pretty. It's just another way of adding something different to your card. So I'm just going to cut a piece of silver metallic cardstock down. Sorry about the cat's tail. She's got the perfect sunspot on my desk today, and yeah, I was struggling to keep her tail out the way. But I'm just getting a little bit of glue down to that panel, and then I'm going to attach that down to the card base, and then I'm going to add the card front to the top of that as well, just to kind of finish it off. I'm just using the Cosmic Shimmer Quick Grab glue here, and despite the fact that there's some string on the back, it still glues it down absolutely fine. You could of course pop it up on foam tape if you wanted to, but I just wanted to make sure it was nice and flat today because I've got dimension already with the string and the die cuts and the wax seal. For the sentiment today, I'm using this Altenew Heartfelt sentiment stamp set, and I'm using this stamp with Deepest Sympathy. You can see that I've already cut my stamp in half before, but as you can see, it's easy to just line back up on the stamp. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to stamp directly onto the card or not. So I thought what I'll do is I'll stamp it on a scrap of white card first, and then just see if I like the look of that better. So I'm just trimming it down using my mini Tim Holtz trimmer. And once I'm kind of happy with the border that's all around that, I'm then just going to see what it looks like on my card and work out a rough kind of placement. And I actually decide to add a matte layer of silver metallic cardstock. And then I'm going to pop it over the top of the Wildflower stems. And I just think it's really nice to kind of keep all the focal elements on that side of the card. And I think the layout looked nice when I'd finished it. So I'm just going to glue that down using the Cosmic Shimmer glue, and then I'm just going to trim it down again on the mini Tim Holtz trimmer, just so that it's got a nice even thin border of the silver coming through. I then decide to add a little bit of foam tape to the back of it, just to pop that up, and then that sits really nicely over the top of the Wildflower stems, and I really like how that looked. Now my foam tape didn't quite come over the edge of that side of the vellum, so the vellum does pop up a little bit there. So just to sort that out, I add a little bit of glue just behind the vellum, and then that just holds that in place. And then that's the finished card for today. So thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more from my channel, and let me know in the comments below if you've used wax seals yet. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.